So in the end, you want to make sure everything blends together, the brightness and contrast and tone of your things all look similar. So I'll do this by going and finding each layer. So there's my polar bear layer. Make sure you click on the image adjustments. You can go in, like turn down the brightness, hit OK, just to make them blend. My hand looks kind of dark, so I can go through. There's my hand layer. Oops. And I can turn that on, click on the hand, image, adjustment, brightness. I think that looks a little better. And just play with the contrast, play with the brightness. You may end up, like this polar bear is a little bit, let me find that polar bear again. He's a little bit yellow. You could change the tone of things or the color balance in things. So I have to click on the bear. He's right here. Image, adjustments. I like to go to color balance. And if it's really yellow, you can slide this slider to the blue a little bit. So I'm looking at the top polar bear. See how he gets a little more blue, a little more yellow. Could try some of these too. Sometimes adding green actually helps, or a little magenta. You might actually go and desaturate him a little. He looks a little yellow, so hue and saturation, you can take down the yellows and stuff by doing that, just making him a little more pale. You can play with the color completely here. Oh, I actually like that. So you want to go through and just kind of make sure that the colors match. So that looks okay. Let's find that other guy. And he's morphed with the penguin. I think they're at the top. There they are. So I'm going to click here and do the same thing. Image, adjustments. I think I liked that, bringing down the saturation and tuning up the hue. That's nice. Maybe brighten him just a little. So now it looks a little more cohesive. Another thing that really helps is if you add like a filter over top of it. This is when I would go in to the adjustment layers, and you can do something like photo filter. Now a photo filter will add it. If it's on top, you want to make sure it's on top of all your layers. If you do the adjustment layers, remember it puts it on its own layer, and you can go through and try different filters and it will overlay it on top of it. You can play with the density and things like that. So everything for this has to be your own photo. The only exception would be like overlays, or you can add texture overlays. So that's the last thing here. If you go and look for different textures, like I looked for a vignette is actually dark around the edges. And if you right click, this was just from a free site, I can incorporate something like this into my photo. So I would just open it up. Super easy, just like with an overlay. You can open up the vignette and you can select it, Control A, Control C. Oops, wrong surreal scene here. I'm going to close some of these. Control V. Make sure it's on top. I'm going to Control T. And hold Shift to keep it in proportion there. And if I hold Shift here, I can distort it a little. Things might look a little pixelated when you Control T them, but as soon as you hit Enter, they sharpen up. And now I can take this and use the blending modes and see if any of these look nice around the edges, and just kind of play with that. These kind of overlays look really nice with like a landscape or something like that. With this one, not so much, but you could play with the opacity with the blending modes, and you can add a layer mask if you want to erase it on parts of your image as well. Like just put it on the edges maybe. But having a color or something overlaying it does help blend all the colors together.